Welcome back to the Richard Sherman podcast. I got another incredible guest today, cornerback Riley Moss of the Denver Broncos. Appreciate you joining me, brother.
Yeah, absolutely. Thanks for having me.
Anytime. So we go, everybody tells me to avoid the white corner thing. And I'm like, why avoid it? It was history in the making when you and Cooper DeJean entered the league and both of you guys came in playing at such a high level. You have such a tough task each and every week. Obviously, Patrick Surtain is out right now, but being opposite of him, you get a lot more targets and you stand up incredibly well. Just talk me through your journey.
Yeah, it all kind of started when I was, honestly, it was travel team football, dude, like middle school. I had a coach. He kind of threw me at DB because I was like one of the faster kids. I played receiver and then corner. And I did this, the FBU thing. If you know what FBU is, like the football university, it's kind of like the youth football, like there's a bunch of camps and stuff. So did that and continued kind of trying to play corner, mostly because people were telling me like, typically, the white kid really doesn't play corner. And so I was kind of like, yeah, let's do this thing. So, come to high school, I end up, playing corner in high school and doing the camps. I only went to college camps that, had contacted me, right? So I went to Iowa, and then I went to a lot of FCS schools like North Dakota State, North Dakota, UNI, all around the Midwest. I was only really a 2-star recruit. I wasn't getting very much attention. I ended up, getting Iowa late, and it was a blue shirt, I believe. So it was, they didn't have a scholarship for me then, but, down the road when one opened up, I was going to be the first guy to get it. So ended up going to Iowa my freshman year, balling out my first summer and end up, earning a scholarship, and kind of the rest is history, right? Like I ended up starting as a freshman, which honestly, I didn't think it was going to happen. I was the last kid in my recruiting class, right? So end up, kind of chipping away, balling out, and my first start against Minnesota, I got 2 picks, which was crazy. So it was kind of a wild journey, but ended up balling out at Iowa for 5 years and got drafted in the 3rd round to Denver. So and here I am.
Ankeny was putting him out for a little while. Ankeny was not just at Centennial, but a number of guys got out of there and played Big Ten football.
Yeah.
And it seemed like you ran into a bunch of them at Iowa and obviously a few at Purdue.
Yeah. Brody Brecht is the name that comes to mind. He actually got drafted to the Rockies to play baseball, but he was a dual sport at Iowa, played receiver and then played baseball. So yeah, Ankeny's got some athletes for sure.
Speaking of that, people don't appreciate high school football enough, but you guys played against the number 1 team in your state, in your division, and you were able to win that game, big time upset from what I understand. But that seemed to be the moment like you jumped on everybody's radar, especially Iowa, when guys really understood that you could play at a high level. Talk to me about that, because I remember the moment where things started to click for me, especially at DB, where it was like, hey, I think I can do this at a high level. And a lot of it came down to getting the football. And when the football is in the air, not everybody, as you know, not everybody has natural ball skills. Some of these dudes act like they got 2 left hands when the ball comes, but you were a natural early on.
Yeah. I think, the biggest thing was just kind of going out there and having fun and flying around, and the success kind of came with that. You know what I mean? Like it just followed that. And I never tried too hard to make a play. It always kind of just came to me. And, a lot of guys say like, you're living right. Like, I think I'm a big believer in that, dude. Like sometimes that ball just finds you and can't explain it, but it's great.
No question about it. It's tough. And this year, there's been a little bit of scrutiny for PI and for fans out there. Corner is the hardest job on the goddamn field. So a penalty or 2 is going to happen, but I still feel like there's some bias against you. I feel like at least 4 of these calls that could have not been called at all are going the other way. But in Vance Joseph's defense, like you got a tough task almost each and every down, man-to-man coverage, tight zone coverages. And you got the lowest completion percentage against you this season, 44%, but the highest amount of targets in the league. I mean, I don't think you're getting appreciated enough for the job you're doing. But why do you think that is?
Yeah, honestly, like the PI calls, listen, like I'll be the first one to point a finger at myself if it's PI. Like I'm not delusional. But I would agree with you. There are some a couple that were, alleged. But also can't allow that to affect how I play, right? Like, VJ will say like we're okay with athletic physical play. We're not gonna tell you to shy away from that. Obviously, don't be stupid and don't be blatant about it, but there's definitely been a couple alleged ones, but you got to play through and not let it affect you. But that's kind of like the entire mentality though of our defense is fly around, be physical, don't even think about it, just go and play football and whatever happens kind of happens.
No question about it. And your defense is playing incredibly well. Last week, I want to know how the meetings went after that game. You guys only allowed 7 points in the game, and even that it was in the first drive. You didn't allow much after that. It looked like this defense is hitting on all cylinders as the middle of the season uh, comes upon us. What are those conversations like after this game?
Um, you know, I think the biggest thing for our defense is not trying to reach perfection, but always trying to improve. And we gave up 7 points, and that's 7 points we don't want to give up, right? Like, the stats look good and all that, but there's still stuff that we can work on and continue to get better at. And being able to stay hungry, like it's a long season, and you got to be able to continue to improve and be the team that improves the most, each week. Because that's why we're sitting where we're sitting, is because we continually and rapidly, improve. So I think that's the biggest thing for us.
We talked briefly about Patrick Surtain when we did the sit down interview, but obviously I'm a huge fan of him and I'm a huge fan of you because when you watch the tape, you got to see him and you can't help but to watch you and the incredible job you're doing. But were there a ton are there a ton of things that you've learned from him? I mean, technique wise, or patience, because I felt like each and every day, I felt like I could learn something from somebody, whether it was a practice squad guy. I mean, I watched a ton of tape on Aqib Talib when he was in Denver. I learned some stuff from just about everybody that plays, and because it's such a nuanced position and you cover these receivers enough, you're like, hey, you could see somebody's trick, and you're like, hey, I need to put that in my bag because it was really effective. Do you feel yourself doing that with Patrick Surtain and you guys bouncing ideas off each other?
Yeah, 1,000%. I think we have that conversation each week. At practice, I'll ask him questions about the prior week. He might have made a play on something. How did you see that? You were outside leverage, but his split was also like outside the numbers. So like, how did you know you were getting that 9 ball fade? You know what I mean? Like, things like that. And it's good to be able to bounce off each other because we play a little bit differently. Obviously, everyone's different. He's long and lengthy and very patient. And I try and mimic as much as possible, that same type of thing. But at the same time, I'm not 6'3" and long, and so there's things you could pick up on some guys and also, watch around the league as well. Like you said, like, McDuffie in Kansas City, there's some things that, he's a little bit shorter guy, but he's quick and twitchy and there's some things you can pick up off him too. So I think, the biggest thing is just being able to look around the league and try and, take one or two things from certain guys and put it in your bag, like you said.
You talked about when you got to Iowa and how quickly you felt comfortable. Obviously, you started in your first year and had 2 picks in your first game. When was the moment where you felt comfortable in the league? Where you well, not comfortable, but felt like, hey, man, I could play? Because I don't know about you, I won't speak for you, but when I got to the league, there was a moment where we were in a game. I think this was my first start, and we had the Bengals, and I had AJ Green, and AJ came talking cash and kind of telling me about myself. This is my first start. I'm a fifth round pick, 154th pick. He's number five pick in the draft, I think. And I got a pick, I think first or second quarter, and it was like it turned me up immediately. And so at that point, I was like, hey, I could do this. I can do this, and I can play as long as I want to because I feel comfortable in this moment. When was that moment for you?
I'd say my first pick against the Raiders last year, my second year. It was kind of that, like you said, like, I could play in this league and, I can dominate in this league, not even just play, I can dominate. And, the biggest thing that I've realized about myself is, just because they were drafted ahead of you or, the media covers them more doesn't make them, Hercules, right? Like they're still bleeding red, right? Like they're the same as you. And it just depends on your preparation and, how much time you've put in. I think that's the biggest thing for sure.
That's awesome. Was there any like welcome to the league moments where you felt like, oh my God, this guy's legitimate?
Dude, we were playing the Seahawks first game of the season last year. I can't remember who the running back was, but I thought I was obviously outside, keep everything inside of you, setting an edge, and took off. Like, I think I'm a pretty fast dude, and he hit the corner and was out of there. And I was like,
Kenneth
holy
Walker,
cow, like, yes, it was Kenneth Walker, yeah. Hit the edge and just took off. And I was like, oh my God, like, they're getting paid too. So this ain't no we're playing Northwestern or this ain't no Big Ten.
right?
This is some real deal stuff. So
Right. No question. He got some next man speed. No question about that. There's some incredible wideouts in this league, but you get to go against an incredible wideout on your own team, Cortland Sutton. Obviously underappreciated guy, but I remember we did a joint practice versus those guys in 2019. I'm an old man, so I got to take you back. But I had never in my life gotten mossed. Never, not once in the league. Not, I think I might have had one close in college, but never in the league. I had never in the game where I go jump ball and I don't win. And we were in the middle of a practice. I'm having a pretty good day, knocking it down. Cortland gives a release, goes 9 ball. I get in the pocket, get my shoulder in front of his. I look up, routine interception. I go up off my foot, feeling good about it. And then I just feel pressure on my shoulders, and I'm like, "What the hell is going on?" Like, I know gravity ain't got me.
yeah.
And next thing you know, I see hands above my head and pluck over my head. I said, who just did that?
Yeah.
Like, never in my life. But gotta look, ever since that day, I'm a Cortland Sutton fan. Boy, you got a fan in me.
Dude, he's strong. Like it's like in practice, like in camp, I remember this year, like he does a good job, like at the top of the route of pushing off. And like like better than anyone. They're not calling, refs aren't looking for that, calling that. So like I'll get a dig and or a curl, and he's strong at the top of the route. He's long. That's what makes him really good. And then of course, like the fade ball, like you've seen this year, he's caught multiple like heavily contested fade balls. Like the DB was in great position and he just kind of big bodies them. Like he's gotten really good at, what he's good at, if that makes sense.
It makes a lot of sense. It makes a lot of sense. Um, Outside of McDuffie, obviously watching his tape and watching a lot of guys now, was there anybody that you looked to and watched to emulate as you were coming up, whether it's high school or college, that you were like, hey, I need to, pattern my game? Obviously, Champ Bailey and Revis and Dion and Charles Woodson are all some guys that could play at a high level. I don't want to go the Jason Sehorn route. He's not the same type of corner issue, but that's where they want me to
That's
go.
too cookie cutter. We can't do that.
It's too cookie cutter.
Yeah.
What are you talking?
No, Darrell Revis for sure. I grew up a Jets fan, which is kind of wild. I'm from Iowa. But Darrell Revis. And then I'd go low key, like high school, probably you, to be honest with you.
I appreciate that.
Yeah, not just because I'm talking to you, I'm not going to give you that, but like honestly, like for sure, you and Jarrell, and obviously still, trying to emulate my game after guys, currently, but yeah.
Okay. Um, I I just really want people to appreciate the job you're doing and the job your defense is doing. Your D line is full of dogs. And that makes the job a lot easier. I mean, they still don't make their job totally easy because they get blocked sometimes too. And if they got time, you got to go, you got to stand up. But talk talk to me about that defense and Benito and Cooper and Zach Allen and Stranad and all these guys that can get after the passer. I mean, Franklin Myers.
It's a defense full of junkyard dogs is the best way I'd put it. Like, they don't care if it's pretty. They're gonna go and fly and hit you in the mouth. And I think that's why we're such a good defense is because from the D-line to the backers to the back end, like, guys are flying around. Hufanga is going in there to knock you out. Brandon Jones, same thing. And that makes our job a lot easier on the outside because, you got guys, if we're setting the blitz, it's ball's coming out, pretty fast. So, the front guys have done a phenomenal job this year. As you know, Coop and Benito are absolute dogs. Same with Zach. DJ Jones does a great job filling the gaps. So, just top down, everyone does their job well and we kind of build off each other, right? Like we're playing for each other and that's why we've seen so much success.
Yeah, no question about it. I mean, you guys are playing as a complete unit, and it's cool to see. I really appreciate your time. I know it's your off day, and you got things to do, people to see, places to be. If you got any questions or anything you want to talk to me about, I can talk corner play all day until the cows come home. Because I mean, it's fun. It's a fun position. It's a really tough job. It's a thankless job because you could have 59 good plays, and on that 60th play, if they hit you, everybody's going to tell you how terrible you were. It's a what have you done lately job, but you're playing it at a really high level, and I see you.
Yeah, I appreciate you giving me some rose and stuff. We got some work to do still though. So I'm excited. I'm excited for our team, excited for our defense. Keep chipping away. Got a big one this week with the Chiefs coming to town. So
yeah, that's gonna be a fun game. And talk to me, I guess, about the challenge of a game like this, a tough division opponent against a team who's been so consistent and so good and been in a Super Bowl 5 of the last 6 years.
yeah, it's always the Chiefs, right? Like it's always going to go through the Chiefs, and we've been close to the sweep the last 2 years, right? But it's time to get over the hump, and they're a great team. They got a bunch of great players, and they're going to come in here hot, and we're ready for it. It's going to be a great game. We're excited for the challenge.
I love it. I love it. I can't wait for that game. It's going to be a great matchup. Well, last question. What do you think of Sean? Sean's a unique character, and if you've never played for him or had a conversation with him, Sean is funny, man.
Yeah, no, I love Sean. He's a competitive dude, and he's easy to play for because he wants to win so badly, and we all want to win badly. And he's done a great job since he's came here. I was his first draft class. He did a great job of kind of building the locker room first, having a bunch of good guys who can really feed off each other and are similar minded people. And then came, the football and kind of growing as football players. But it all really started with the guys that he brought in to the locker room and building that culture. And year 3 and this is where we're at. So he's done a great job and he's a good coach to play for.
Well, it's a great season so far. I hope it continues. Hope you guys are able to pull out the dub this week. That'll give me something to talk about on this great podcast. I appreciate you joining me and spending your off day with me.
Yeah, absolutely. Thanks for having me.
Anytime, brother. Enjoy yourself. We'll see you next time.